I am currently hiking in Rocky Mountains, Colorado. I'm here for an event and I'm so, oh my God, I just am so excited to be out here, like completely by myself in the middle of nowhere, hours from anything. It's so powerful, man, being by yourself out in the woods. Every time I do it, I'm just like, you're left alone with who you're being. You take the perspective of the whole world away from you and you're just left with you and who you are. There's nothing really to match yourself against. And that's such a powerful experience because personality is based on perspective. Who you are showing up as is different than who you are. If you've ever felt a gap between, like, you don't feel like yourself, you don't recognize yourself when you look in the mirror, you don't feel like you're reaching your full potential, you feel like there's more you could be doing or more you could be creating, or you feel out of place, all of these things are a sign that there's a gap between who you really are deep down and who you're showing up as, which I'm gonna call your personality, who you're being, so to speak. And when you take yourself out of your normal world, when you take yourself out of your day-to-day, your routine, your environment, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, you're left with two things: your mind and that voice that's just chattering incessantly in your head, who is the representation of your personality, and yourself, the one that's inside, deep down, watching all of that happen. I don't know if I need to say this to you, but not everybody knows that everybody has this inner roommate, this voice in their head that never shuts the fuck up. It's 24/7 talking. And if you sit back and listen to it, you hear that it's absolutely batshit crazy. One minute you're sitting there and it's like, oh my God, it's so nice to be out here by yourself. And the other one's like, you're out here by yourself because you don't have any friends. You're like, what? Huh? And it's arguing with itself. If you're sitting on the couch watching TV, it's like, hey, I better go turn the lights off upstairs. You're like, I think I already did that. You wouldn't even go check because you don't care about your electricity bill and you don't care about the environment. And then that voice going again is like, yeah, but I just want to relax. All that voice cares about is that it gets to keep talking. But everybody has it, and it's predominantly negative, and there's a reason for that that I won't really go into in this video. But I just want to share with you that it's always there for everybody, in case you didn't know that. You're not crazy. You're not crazy, but the voice is. But what's cool about getting out of your environment is that you're just left with you, the real you, and the voice. And if you haven't known this before, you're not the voice. You can hear it. You're the one behind it, listening to it. Try it. Pause the video, close your eyes, sit back and just listen. Because you can listen means you're not the one talking. And so what's beautiful about being outside of your environment is it kind of gives you deeper access to the insanity of that voice. You know, the voice in your normal life, it goes into these habits and these patterns of thought and personality and who you are and who you're not, what you can do and what you can't, what you're afraid of, what you're not, what you are worthy of and what you're not. But when you take that voice out of your normal environment and you put it somewhere like this, where there's nothing but nature, the context around the voice changes. It doesn't make sense anymore. You know, this is embarrassing, but I'll share it with you. I was walking at the beginning of my hike and I just felt this like extreme sense of loneliness. Right now in my life, I'm really feeling called to like be in more solitude, to be alone. And at the same time, I totally resist it. And when I am alone, I kind of panic and I just feel like, oh my God, I'm alone in the world. Not I'm alone right now, I am alone. And it's just this weird inner sort of state that I'm working on shifting. But I was walking on this path and super windy, really early in the morning. I got up like, 5 a.m., drove out here, was the only one here. And the wind is just wild. 7,500 feet, it's cold. It's like wilderness, it's like you really feel small. And I was like thinking, I'm out here by myself, wind is just blowing through here, there's nobody around, nobody for hours, and this voice in my head starts talking, and I feel fear coming up in my body, and this and this voice starts going, you could die out here. You could die out here. What if a rattlesnake, I don't even know if there are rattlesnakes here. What if a rattlesnake bites you? What if you trip and fall? And this legitimate thought I had, what if you trip and fall and you whack your face on a rock and you knock yourself out and you bleed to death? What if a tree falls on you? Oh my God, it's so funny to say these things out loud because these thoughts were going through my head for like the first hour of my walk. Ooh, I hear it pretty cool animal sound. So yeah, these thoughts are going around in my head for the first hour. And it's building up so much fear in me that I considered turning back. And I just sort of got present to that voice. What the hell is that? I got present to that voice and I just started listening to it. I remembered that I'm not the voice, I'm the one that can hear it. So for about an hour, I just listened to this maniac in my head, just like coming up with all these worst case scenarios, and to the point where I was like in tears. It was fucking bizarre. But I'm also in this practice of just feeling whatever comes up, because thoughts are created from the repressed feelings that we hold inside. If I had decided that like randomly crying on my hike in Colorado because I was alone in the world didn't make sense, I would just repress it, because it is fucking crazy. But the point is, the feeling came from somewhere deeper down. Somewhere in the past where I did feel like that, and I didn't let the emotion run through my body. And as a result, I made a meaning that I'm alone in the world. And that meaning is what sticks. And until we really allow the feelings to process and the emotions to run their course, the thoughts, the crazy voice in the head attaches to them. But when you allow that feeling to pass through your body, even when it doesn't make any sense, you release that energy from your body. And the more and more you release the energy out of your body, the thoughts that are attached to that energy go with it. So I walked and I walked and I walked and I walked. And I just felt into that feeling and into that experience more till it was gone. And now I'm walking back and it's pure fucking bliss. And it's like, what's so interesting is that I'm walking on literally the same path, in the same place, on the same day, but the experience is so different. On my way here, I was having this experience of this hostile environment in this lonely, isolated place. And on my way back, it's like pure meditative bliss. And it's all just because the reflection of the inner world changed what we see in the outer world. And I wanted to share this particular experience with you because of how ridiculous it is. Because like, it's almost a flat fucking path, just high altitude. And I was like fearing I was gonna die. And it's such an extreme example of what that monkey mind, of what that inner roommate, that inner maniac that's chatting in your head all day is doing every day, all day in your inner world. It's just that in your inner world, it's almost believable, I can't post this video because I'm not an expert. Well, there's, potentially a lot of evidence to support that. I can't, I don't have any plans tonight because I don't have any friends because I'm a loser and nobody likes me. Like, you could find evidence to support that. But when you're outside, walking in the wilderness on a flat pathway, and your mind is convincing you that somehow you're gonna die out here all alone by yourself, it becomes a little bit more obvious, the contrast between the reality of what the mind is telling you and the reality of what the world you can experience actually could be. And so I want you to spend like a day listening to this voice, listening to the things that it's telling you, that it's convincing you of, and listen to how much it contradicts itself. Because you're listening to that voice. That's who you're taking your greatest counsel from, your greatest advice, this inner maniac that constantly contradicts himself and is literally almost never right. And if you want to start to eliminate that voice, then you've got to go deeper and experience the feelings behind it. I was working with a couple clients yesterday who both have a lot of repressed anger. We all have a lot of repressed anger. Well, that may not be true, but many people do. And because in a moment where you were feeling that anger, it felt too big, or you couldn't express it. Maybe something from your childhood, or just like a view of life that makes you angry, can't be yourself, whatever it is. You feel this anger, and each time you feel it, you stuff it back down because it's inappropriate, it doesn't make sense, you can't understand why you're feeling it, so you just don't feel it, or you try to rationalize your way out of it. You just keep stuffing it further and further and further down. It never leaves your body, it never goes away. And so if you allow that feeling to come through and you just feel angry, like, not you feel angry, you feel the anger as a physical sensation in your body, then you actually can move it through you. So what I mean is, like, let's say somebody triggers you at work, one of your coworkers tries to throw you under the bus and it makes you angry. What you might do is A, stuff it down, or B, go on and just vent and rant about this like shitty coworker of yours all day and complain about her and wallow in that pissed off feeling. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is to notice that there's anger, the energy of anger in your body. And this is a little conceptual, so if you don't quite understand it, let me know. You feel anger in your body. Every feeling, every emotion has a physical component in your body with it. You know that because anxiety, you can feel that in your chest. But all feelings, all emotions have an energy in the body. They're like measurable things. So if you feel the physical feeling of anger and you just allow it and sit in it and watch it move through your body, it goes away. It moves, the energy moves out of your body, and then all of a sudden the thing with the coworker, it doesn't matter anymore. It actually doesn't matter because you move the energy, you move the anger out of your body. There's a theory by a guy named David Hawkins, who I've been studying a lot recently, where he says that no emotion is caused by the trigger that has you see it. Meaning that it's not actually your coworker who made you angry. It's all the repressed anger that you've ever not felt that's just being triggered by your coworker. Because if you just literally moved all the anger out of your body and you just let the energy move through, then people couldn't piss you off. I know this because it's very hard to make me angry. And, not everybody relates to anger the same way. So it's how you see your inner world that shapes how you react to what's happening in your outer world. So if you just allow yourself to move the energy of these emotions through you without wallowing in the story, so this is what I mean, you're present to the fact that the feeling that you're feeling is real, the anger is feeling real, but you just feel that instead of the mind stuff and all the judgment about why you feel it because you're this girl and blah, blah, blah. Take the story out of it and just feel the feeling. And you'll start to create this relationship with this monkey mind, and you'll start to create a relationship with these feelings in your inner world that you just allow them to move through you. And so the whole time you're sitting behind it, just watching it all happen. And as a result of this, a couple things happen. One is that you're no longer a slave to your emotions. You're no longer just like moving through your day, waiting for the next truck to hit you, emotional truck. If everything goes well in your day, you're happy. If a couple things go wrong, you have a bad day. And this means that you are a slave to the world around you, that you are a slave to the emotions that you're experiencing instead of being in a state of like peace all the time. We try to fix the way we feel by fixing and changing the stuff that's happening around us, but it's backwards. Instead, if you just start to feel the emotions that pass through you, then nothing can actually touch you from the outside. You become invincible to the outside world and you remain in this inner state of calm and peace. And things might still come up that trigger anger or sadness or fear or anxiety, but you don't go into the story about them and try to go into this like, Mr. Fix-It mode where you try to change and control the whole world around you. You just feel the energy of the emotion and you move on with your day. And as you start to do this more and more, the thoughts and the stories that are attached to all of these emotions go with it. You don't even have to understand where they came from for this to work. You just have to allow them to move through your body. And so what happens as you practice this more and more is that your personality, that monkey mind in your voice, becomes less powerful. And you have to listen to it less. So even if you're about to shoot a video or go do a talk or, reach out to someone or ask for a promotion or have a challenging conversation with your spouse or a friend, even when you're triggered by fear and anxiety or not feeling good enough or feeling like a fraud, you're not stuck behind that story anymore. You can act anyway because you're willing to feel that fear. You're willing to feel the energy of the emotion and just let it pass so that the story that's attached to it goes away with it. So I know this was a super long video. Oops. It is a really, really important topic, and I'd love to discuss it more with you because it's the most powerful thing I've done in my work so far. So reach out if you want to. Connect below and feel that shit.